I'm Ralph Vince, and this is cycle determination on TradeShark. Let's start with a given market. We'll start with the S&P cash. And I'm going to pick one day for 3 months, because for this indicator we need about 60 bars of back data. And what we're going to do is we're going to get a projection forward in time based on the composite of the current cycles that work in this data, and a projection forward in time based on the dominant cycle in this data. So I'm going to want to open the chart up to show a certain number of bars forward, and I typically pick 8 days, which seems to look quite nice. I now go add the indicator, cycle determination, and add to chart. Now, here's how to read this indicator. The values in terms of price of these two projections, the composite projection being the blue line, and the dominant cycle projection being the red line, the price values don't so much matter. What matters in reading this indicator are the days in the future where these cycles peak out or have a trough in them. So we see in the S&P both the composite of all cycles weighted to their current strength and the dominant cycle, the red line, both peak out on 129. So I would be looking for a peak based on the cyclical character in this data. I would be looking for a peak on 129, give or take 1 bar either side. Similarly, according to the dominant cycle, I'd be looking for a trough, a bottom in the data, right around 2.2, around February 2nd. This is not, however, supported by the blue line, the composite data. So the best signals I get are when both the dominant cycle and the composite of all cycles occur on the same bar. Let's go look at another market now. Let's go look at gold. And I'm going to call up cash gold. And again, I'm going to call up one day for 3 months. I'm going to project forward 8 days, 8 bars in time. I'm going to add my indicator. And you can see in gold that the composite of the cycles, the blue line, and the dominant cycle projection, the red line, they're not running as together as we saw currently in the S&P. Here, it's a much more muddled picture. The dominant cycle calling for a peak 1 bar into the future on 127. This is supported by the composite cycle, but after that, the picture becomes very muddled. The dominant cycle is calling for a drop down into 129, whereas the composite cycle seems to just be looking for an upward drift for those other 7 bars into the future. So that's how you use this very robust indicator to obtain short-term projections based on the current cyclical content of the data you're looking at. I'm Ralph Vince. This is cycle determination, available exclusively on TradeShark.